So back in 06, my In Search of the N.E.R.D mixtape lands into Jeff Sledge's hands, who's like the VP of A&R at Jive Records. Like, this guy did the Tribe albums, KRS albums, some Mobb Deep, and Gangstar. Like, this is like hip hop, period. So he hears In Search of the N.E.R.D from Quasi Kessie, my stylist at the time, and he's like, yo, I wanna meet this guy. So we sit down, we have dinner. He was like, yo, I really like what you're doing. Keep it up. I'm not gonna sign you right now, but keep it up. So he proceeds to always meet up with us. We made the Super song together, great record. Chanel Iman danced to the song. So I go to Atlanta and I do 20 songs in 10 days. I send it to Jeff. Jeff is like, these songs are incredible. I wanna sign you to Jive Records / Battery Records with Neil Levine. So I was like, all right, cool. So we do the deal. All of the music that we made was supposed to come out, and they were radio records, but they weren't the Southie kind of records that New York artists were doing at that time. They were real like pop, hip hop records, kind of like basically like what will.i.am started doing right after I stopped doing it. Jive folds. Jeff Sledge loses his job. A lot of the people that were at Jive that were working my project got laid off, sadly. A lot of great people who were really invested in my project. I then get moved over to RCA with a new deal. Jay Grand, who is now my new A&R, has me underneath him in the fold, in the label. So I'm nervous at this point. So I start reaching out to different people. I reach out to Bruno Mars, I reach out to John Legend, I reach out to some producers. And I come to Jay Grand with new music, as well as my old music and hip hop stuff. So I play him the Bruno record. Obviously, he's gonna love the Bruno record. He probably listened to it for like 2 seconds, like, oh, I love it, because it's Bruno. Like, Bruno is like a layup on a fast break with nobody behind him, you know what I'm saying? So, of course he loved that record. The issue with that record that I gave him, that Bruno decided he wanted to give that record to Diggy Simmons and this person and that person. So there was multiple people who had the record, so I couldn't put the record out. But I still had a John Legend record in tuck, like in the holster. So I pulled the John Legend record out, who I recorded with, by the way. He was on tour with Sade. When he had his off day with Sade, he said, I wanted to get in the studio with Mickey Factz. We got in the studio, we made this record. I take the record to Jay Grant, who was this hip hop guy in St. Louis. He had his own radio show. He had a college hip hop radio show in St. Louis. So off top, you got a hip hop artist. So I'm already in my mind thinking, we're gonna make this go. I play him before I even play him the John Legend record, he says, and I want this to stay in, he says, I'm not a fan of John Legend, so I don't really know what this is. I don't know what's gonna happen when I hear this record. Like that, his exact words. I was like, so I still play the record. The record's fire. And he just kind of was like, it's cool. So I was like, bet. At that point, I just utilized the RCA Records studio, and I create Mickey Mouse, which is like the biggest thing that I've done in terms of musical output. I take it to Jay Grand, like 3-4 months later. He loves the project. I put it out because I sampled and produced everything. So I sampled Danger Mouse and Dead Mouse. So I put it out, and that day that it came out, it was like trending. So Lupe calls Jay Grand. Hey, you need to put this out officially, because it was a mixtape. This is a masterpiece. And then Lupe proceeds to tweet it. It's a masterpiece. Swiss proceeds to tweet, this is a masterpiece of a project. Janelle Monáe goes on Facebook, this is one of the best projects of the year. He still refuses to put anything out, and I'm stuck on the label at this point. And then on my birthday, like a couple days before my birthday, I'm like, listen, we both came to the agreement that it was time for me to go. And I left with all my masters. And that's basically that story in a nutshell.